Hello, everyone. My name is Beth Green, otherwise known as Granny Rocks.
And my name is James Maynard, otherwise known as Sweet Baby James, and you have come to Lighting the Way, Granny Raps and Rocks. Raps and Rocks. I'm doing the chat tonight. Please chat with us, and Beth will be sure to talk to you directly.
If you're live, and if not, leave your comment and I will respond to you later. So, tonight I want to continue our conversations about stress. And this time, I'm asking us a question. So I start out with that reality that life is stressful no matter what we do. I mean, there's issues of health and poverty and hunger and the unexpected and trying to make it and, all that stuff, right? Sometimes some of it is very, very scary. But the question I'm asking is, how often are we choosing peace, and how often are we feeding the stress ourselves, and why do we do that?
Indeed. Inquiring minds want to know.
I hope so. I want to know. So I would love to hear from you.
Oh, we've heard from Amy here. Hi, Beth and James. Thank you so much for this topic. And she sends a heart of love.
You're very welcome for this topic, Amy. So I want us all to be very, very honest with ourselves and really ask ourselves, how often do we choose peace, and how often do we choose stress? Looks like we have...
Oh, and Amy follows it up with, can't wait to hear about the why you just mentioned.
Yeah, I kind of want to know, too, what I'm going to say.
And Elizabeth sends a big hello along with a heart of love. And Catalina gives us a big wave and sunglasses and a heart of love.
Lovely. Well,
and Tracy's here, too, with a heart of love for us as well.
So welcome to Elizabeth, to Catalina, and to Tracy. Thank you for the love and the support already. So, as I said, it is a very stressful time. People are at each other's throats, and we have relationship stress, we have societal stress, we have health stress. I mean, we've got it up the wazoo. But don't we often make it worse? Now, I want you tonight. I'm not prosecuting anybody. Nobody's in the witness stand, right? So this is, it looks like we have another.
Oh, and Dawn says good evening and sends lots and lots of hearts of love. Thank
lovely,
you,
Dawn. Lovely, Dawn. So nice to see you live. So I want us to get very honest. As I say, I'm not trying to prosecute us, but I do want us to be honest. How many times do we actually choose to make the stress worse? Now, I'm going to talk about some examples of this. Supposing, for example, we have bought a lot of stuff and we don't know whether or not we can actually pay for it. Have we ever, and I ask you to, just gone ahead and bought it without actually checking? Now, it's not just that we might do something stupid that's destructive. It could be that we're carrying a lot of stress because we actually can't afford it. Oh, yeah, maybe we have the money stashed somewhere, but we don't want to use it because then that might reduce our stress. Now, we might say, well, I need to keep this money for the future. However, if we don't survive the present, there won't be a future, right? And often it's just a question of, I don't want to know. I'm not even going to look to see how much money I have. I'd much rather be stressed and scared. Looks like we have another comment.
Oh, yes. Todd says hello, with the big wave hello. And says hello, Beth and James, and everyone else, and just sends 2 hearts of love. Thank you, Todd.
And we have another comment.
And then Amy says, Absolutely. I like the powerful feeling of getting what I want.
Yes. Well, you said a very interesting word, but it's not just the powerful feeling of getting what you want, it's the powerful feeling of the stress itself. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
So I just gave one example. Now, have you ever, come on, be honest, have you ever created a make believe deadline in your head?
Oh, I've done that lots of times.
Me too. It's like, oh my God, I've got to do it now. I've got to do it. Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff, and now I have to do this, and I have to do it now. And I really don't have to do it now.
But if I don't do it now, I will not look good to myself.
Or I won't be stressed.
Ah.
God forbid I should let myself off the hook. I would so much rather to be stressed. Okay, more honesty. I hope you're enjoying this.
Mm.
How many times have we, and of course I'm guilty of all of these things too, picked an argument that said something that I knew was going to make the person even more upset? We've got a comment.
Todd says, you bet.
Yeah. Thank you, Todd, for admitting that you do these things too. So sometimes I just know that I'm riling somebody up, but I have to go in there and poke the guy or the woman or or the situation one more time, even though there is absolutely no rational reason to do that. It would be so much better for me to just shut up if I'm losing this or I think it's a bad thing, to stop fighting for the moment, take a breath, and try to figure out what to do next.
Karen, yes, I do that. That too.
Thank you. Yay, I am not alone. Now, isn't this extraordinary? Or we get a diagnosis, a health issue, right? Maybe we haven't even had a diagnosis. We have a symptom. We immediately run to the internet, see all the 4,000 things that it could be, all of which are terrible. Another one.
And Karen says, here are two hearts of friendship and a heart of love. Oh, Amy says, I see now that the powerful feeling buying something with no regard to whether I can afford it isn't the power of getting it, but the rush of the stress. Isn't this crazy?
Exactly, honey. Exactly.
Wow.
Now, I'm going to talk about that. Well, one of the things that happens to us when we are stressed is we are into the fight. You know that feeling's like, and I'm so into the fight at that moment that I'm fighting reality. I'm fighting what is. I may even be fighting what I want, which maybe even just to relax and go to bed. But no, not me.
Oh, Eileen is here, and she sends multiple hearts of love. Thank you, Eileen.
Thank you,
Send back at
Eileen.
you.
It's so wonderful to see you all tonight. So anyway, let's talk about that fight. Now, let's say you had two parents. Not everybody does. Let's say you even had a mother and a father. And one of them tended to dominate, either through the fist or through their superior intelligence.
Or through the paycheck.
Or through the paycheck, all of these ways that they could dominate. Or just through the big voice, the big alcoholic voice. And so we grew up with that. And what did we discover, of course, is that the person who gives in gets dominated, right? We don't want to be that person who's dominated. Now, we may look for other strategies, or we may say, yeah, I'm going to use the fist, or I'm going to use the voice, or I'm going to use my intelligence because that's what I saw other people do. But what I don't want to be is the guy who gets dominated. that because that is very upsetting to me. So I will go in, taking the bait, making the fight, because I just somehow have absorbed the idea that making peace means weak. Because the person who made peace was weak, if I make peace in this situation, then I must be being weak. Do you see that's the association? We have the association of the giving in, being dominated, when actually maybe that it's about just shutting up and thinking and relaxing and looking for answers. Maybe, but no, in that moment, I don't want to be the dominated one.
And mostly we want to counteract the power of the other person by acting just as powerfully.
Exactly. And supposing we grew up in a household or a society where we always saw winners and losers, and the thing we did not want to do is lose. So that means if we're not going to lose, we have to win. Isn't winning stressful?
Winning
I have to win because it's like an obsessive need. I have to win. I have to win. I can't let him or her or them get away with this, even if what we're about to do is totally self-destructive and isn't going to get us anywhere. But I've got to win because I have grown up with that attitude that I have to win. I have to win. Now, I can imagine when we were out there fighting for our lives against the wild animals that were going to eat us, so we had to go eat them. I'm sure we have a lot of experience being afraid of losing a fight.
Yeah, back in the day, it was life or death.
Yeah, but sometimes the smart thing is to say this is not a very intelligent contest. I am going to lose. Why don't I just move on? But oh no, we couldn't do that because our ego tells us no. That we will not be winners, that we will not look strong, that we will not be able to show off for our friends or our parents or ourselves or whatever. So we start getting this ego gratification from fighting because that makes us feel like we're really tough. Otherwise, we look like, what? One of those awful expressions, like a pansy or something like that, a disgusting term.
A wimp.
A wimp, that's something like that. A pushover. It's not just men, it's women too. We don't want that. So now, another thing that happens to us around stress is that when we get into the battle, so often we will get a lot of kudos with that, a lot of positive reinforcement. Yeah, you get him. Go get him. Go on, Rocky. Go on, beat him up. So, it's not just that. Obviously, it's not just physical. It's on so many levels. Go get him. Go get him. And there is so much validation for us to be fighters.
Yeah, win the argument. Look smart.
Looks exactly at any cost. In fact, sometimes it's at the cost of our being able to fight again or fight more intelligently. We may need a breath, a timeout. So we don't want to be losers. We don't want to be embarrassed. We don't want to look bad. We want to look tough. We want to look like winners. So what do you think that does to us? We can't think in those moments. We are triggered.
Oh, Brent is here, and he says, "Hey, Beth and James. Hello, Brent. So glad you could join us."
Yeah, Grant, are you in Scotland right now? Probably not. Maybe you're in Brazil, closer to our time slot. Great to see you live. So anyway, I've been talking about all these situations where we actually are choosing to be more stressed. Now, another reason that we might do that is because we are habituated to a sense of victimization. Now, you would think that, well, if we're used to being victimized, we would just give up the fight, but oh no.
Oh, Brent says, "Yes, Scotland. And it's late, dear love. Lots of love."
Oh, yeah. Well, hi, Brant in Scotland.
Scotland.
How nice of you to join us at this ungodly hour. Brant does a program called Centerpiece on the internet where he and other teachers lead people in sacred dance. So it's called Centerpiece. And so it's nice to have you with us live tonight. So, what was I just saying, James? I can't remember.
Well, it's called Centerpiece, the dance. And we have another comment here. Sophie says, "Hello, my lovely Beth Green and James Maynard. Nice to see you."
Sophie.
And sends a heart of love.
It's from Ecuador,
thank you so
right?
much, Sophie. Yes, Ecuador.
In a more sensible time frame. It's so good to see you live, too. So, am I getting my point across? But I just was making a point before I said hello to Brant, and I can't remember what it was. It was about another reason. Well, I will get back. I'm sure I'll figure it out.
Okay.
So, or it won't come to me. So, another thing that has happened to us, so many of us, is that we have been so conditioned to be stressed. We grow up in stressful households. Most of us have parents who fight. You know,
you were talking about victims.
Yes.
Acclimated to being a victim.
Yes, and
Sophie says, "Yes, from Quito, Ecuador."
How do you like that? Quito, we're all over the world today,
Yes,
right?
Indeed.
How nice it is. So, yeah, so somehow, if you want to be victimized, put yourself in a situation that you cannot win. And if you cannot win, then you're going to feel stressed, right?
That's right.
And so victimization also can feed into this. So I was beginning to talk about how so many of us grew up in very stressed houses. Now, I remember thinking that, my parents fought a lot. But now I know that everybody fights a lot. James and I fight a lot. Of course, I was never going to be like that. Oh, no.
Famous last words. Brent, yes, you were talking about victims.
Thank you, Brent.
You're getting support with a little help from your friends.
So we were used to, it's like we grew up with stress. And it wasn't just our parents' stress. There was wars going on. There still are. There is prejudice. There is
stress in school.
Stress in school. There are
pressure to succeed.
Absolutely. And then there are people who are going to rob you or kill you or hanging around. Some people live in very, very stressful situations. Some people are wondering where their next meal is going to come from. It's all very stressful. But when I can tell you one thing, getting stressed is the worst thing we can do. Letting ourselves be overcome by that feeling. We need to take a breath. Now, so what I was saying is that so many of us grew up in very, very stressful situations, and our world right now is unbelievably stressful. And, I don't want to blame the media for everything, but it really is true that when you look at headlines, sometimes it's amazing what the headline says, and then you read the article and you wonder, well, wait a minute, it's not even
It was a sensational headline.
everything, because everybody is trying to get attention. Oh my God, and the stress of trying to get attention. Oh my God. How many of us grew up in situations where we needed to compete with others to get attention?
All of us as children wanted attention from our parents.
Oh, yes. Yeah, absolutely. But I would like to add that it wasn't just that we wanted attention, we needed attention. Maybe you were a well child and you had a sibling who was not well. And they're getting all the resources, and you have to have a problem. Or either that, or you have to be mother's helper, or you have to do something in order to get your needs met. So even right there, in the simplicity of our own home, there is stress of trying to get attention to get our needs met. Oh my God, do I have to go on? But back to the point that I was making before, is that we're so used to stress that it's second nature. And what isn't second nature for most of us is peace. Now, last week, I hope you came. But if you didn't, go back and watch that show just 1 week ago, which was June. I can't believe we're already in the middle of 2023. Gonna piss away another year of my life, right? Can't be. But anyway, in that show, I had this keyboard that had all these fabulous sounds that made us just feel calm. And I also led us in some energy work. And I became so aware of how desperately we need peace. But supposing you have found things that make you feel peaceful, like certain kind of music, or no, not eating ice cream. The ice cream does not ultimately make us feel peaceful. It kind of revs us up.
Did you know that Joe Biden has a refrigerator full of ice cream?
Oh my God. Well, if I were him, I would too. I mean, I would not want to be the president of the United States. But
I think he has a little stress. He's trying to.
Oh my God!
There's
always
comfort food.
There's always somebody, attacking him. I would not want to be a public. See, it's great to be an unimportant, anonymous person because I don't have that many people attacking me.
Well, I think you're important.
Oh, thank you, honey. That's right. You attack me. So, anyway, back to the point.
I argue with you.
So, we are not used to peace. We are used to stress. So, it's like habitual. And we don't even know it. We don't realize that we are making our stress worse, that we are reacting from a place of stress. In my book, Living with Reality, which is a free download on the healingartsnetwork.org, which is in the post, I talk about, what was I just talking? Peace, I was, yes, but what was I? I can't believe this. Boy, somebody didn't want me to say this.
Well, people attacking you, not wanting peace.
Well,
and that we live with so much stress that it's ingrained.
It is ingrained in us, and we don't know. Oh, yes, I call it giving yourself a timeout. We give children timeouts, but we don't often give ourselves a timeout. How many times should I have just shut up, walked out, thought about what I was going to say, breathed, asked myself, how important is this? I knew there was a reason I forgot this point. How important is it that I get this done this afternoon? How important is it that I get this thing accomplished? How important is it that I'm going to get this job? I don't know. The truth is, I really don't know what the consequences are. Sometimes if I get the job, it'll cause me so much stress as I go, oh yeah, that I'm going to wish that I had never gotten it. So all of these things that we have to ask ourselves in the moment, or do we stop and say, have I really investigated all the facts now, or am I making something up? Am I just used to the fight? Am I like, "Rrr, rrr, rrr." The ego, there's a phrase that I've used many times. Raging and fearful, we experience ourselves as real. Aligned and harmonious, we are fearing that we will lose ourselves, that we might lose ourselves in the oneness. We, the ego, just thrives on stress. So, if you want to be stupid, and what do I mean by that? Don't use your native intelligence. Don't take a breath. Don't think about what you're doing. Don't really look at what are the consequences. What should I do? What shouldn't I do? I don't mean being scared into stopping. I mean taking a breath so that we can think, so that we can be divinely guided. So many of you have asked that question before. How do we be divinely guided? Well, we take a breath, we relax, and then we can possibly receive some guidance. You know, there was another phrase that came to me years ago, which is, in the silence, I hear the source, meaning I hear the higher consciousness coming through. When I'm stressed, there's nothing but noise in my head.
We have another comment.
Yeah.
Amy says, we are accustomed to stress rather than peace. I think you were saying that before.
That's exactly right, Amy. And so it's a habit. It's a habit, and we have to break it consciously. We have to give ourselves a time out. We have to ask ourselves, what is this stress? Is it real? Am I making it worse? Am I making it better? Now, I would like to ask you to like or love this show. I'd like to ask you to share this program with everyone you know, because everyone needs this. We are in a high stress situation in our world. There's a lot of bad things happening to a lot of people, and getting more stressed is not going to help. And also leave your comments if you're coming afterwards, and I will respond to you, and follow us on Facebook. So I would like to know how you're doing.
And join us tomorrow night for
Magical Improvs with Beth Green. And this is a program where I improvise a lot, and Sweet Baby James improvises singing, and this is a music program. So we would love to invite you to that, and come back next week to Lighting the Way. Lighting the Way. I'm sorry we have run out of time. More to come every week.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. It's been great to have you. Don says, great show. Gotta run. Thank you. And he sends numerous hearts of love. Thank you, Don.
Thank you, Don. Running can be a good way of releasing stress. Come back soon. Bye-bye.
Oh, and Island says, thank you for helping.
Oh, good. I'm so glad that it is helping. Oh, my God, that's so important to me. But I can't make it. I have to help, otherwise I'll get too stressed. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye for now.